emergency broadcast.
We're sorry. All circuits are busy now. Will you please try your call again later?
Hello YouTube preppers, this is the Comms Prepper, and we got the ground rod installation project done today at the homestead here in the ham radio shack above the garage. We got the ground bus bar we picked up at Ham Radio Outlet installed to the wall. We've got the tuner and the bug out bag radio right now hooked up to the ground bus bar, and I'm using the braid from RG58. I need to get some better ground braid, but that's what I have right now, so something's better than nothing. And there's the multi-strand heavy copper ground wire. It goes down to the floor. I drilled a hole in the floor. There was no other way of doing it, and I'll dress this up later. I still got a vacuum. And from there it drops into the garage, and we'll go down there and show you where it drops into the garage, and then we go out the sidewall to the ground rod. So there's the ground wire poked through the drywall there here in the garage, and it comes down this pegboard. Again, I'll dress this up later. I can get some tie wraps. And then we drilled a hole here just above the sill plate to go outside, and I'll show you where we exited the house and hook up to the ground rod. Now, of course, before I started this ground rod project, I called here in Virginia, it's called Miss Utility, and had the utilities come out and mark their lines to make sure I didn't drop that ground rod through a water line or the power cable or the phone line. And it varies from state to state, but of course, before you do any digging or hammering of ground rods, check what your local municipality requires. But you definitely want to call and get your utilities marked before you hammer an 8-foot copper rod into the ground, because you could hit the power line or the water line, and that's real expensive. You're liable if you don't call to have the utilities marked ahead of time, and you're not allowed to do anything until they come and mark it. So all the utilities came today and did the marking. So the yellow line here is actually the gas line coming in, and the orange line is the telephone company, and the water and the cable company were marked on the other side of the house. So here's where we exited the house with the ground wire, and the station's right up there on the other side of that wall. So we came down the inside of the garage, exited the vinyl there. It would have been nice to have been below that, and used some of that electrical compound to keep the water and the critters from getting back in. And it's a little bit extra wire here right now. I was hammering on this ground rod, sorry about the shadow, with a regular hammer, and I got tired. So when my neighbor gets home tonight, I'll use a sledgehammer, bury that the rest of the way, shorten it up, and again, I'll dress that cable up and attach it to the wall on the outside. So that's the station ground here at the homestead, and make sure we have a good ground. This is what you call an RF ground, not an electrical ground, and all your equipment has to be bused to a common ground, an independent ground, especially if you're using high power HF shortwave stuff. And in the end, all the antennas will have lightning arresters on them connected to this ground system here. So if we get a lightning strike, in theory it should come right down to this rod and dissipate in the ground and save the station and save the home electronics. And as always, thank you for watching my videos and subscribing to my channel. This has been the Comms Prepper with a on-topic project to install a ground rod that finally got completed, unlike some of my other projects. But I'm going to get to them. Thanks, guys.